Hey guys, I got wheelbarrow trouble, so let me show you. I have two wheelbarrows. This one that you've seen in my other videos that I use all the time. It's a little small, but it's good for filling up right to the top. It's just the right amount of weight when you have to maneuver it around the yard or the driveway or whatever. Then I have this one. This one's actually bigger, but it's narrower, so it's harder to control, and the frame's a little rotten. And this one's kind of crappy. So I use this one just to store firewood in. And I drilled a couple of holes. You can kind of see a couple of holes there. So any rainwater that gets in can just drain out, or any snow that gets in can melt and drain out. So this one stays outside, normally full of firewood. And the other one is in my shed, ready for work. So the problem is, this one has a flat tire. And it's not just a flat tire, the tire's starting to dry rot. So let's take a closer look at that. So here's a close-up look at the tire. You can see when I bend it, it's actually just crumbling away. And I've tried pumping it up and the air doesn't even remotely stay in. And I figured I could get a tube and get a little more life out of the tire, but it's in pretty bad shape. And this brand new one was only $16 at Harbor Freight. It looks like it's almost the exact same thing. Compared that to the cost of a tube, which was $6, and I figured I might as well just replace the whole wheel. So I'm gonna do that right now. So normally it's simple, you just unbolt it here and here. Because the frame's a little rotted, I might run into some trouble there. Also, sometimes the spacing of the axle is a little different between the wheels, so sometimes you have to cut spacers up. This spacer is actually really loose, which would be bad if I was using it as a wheelbarrow, but because I'm just using it to store firewood and it basically never moves, this spacing's good enough. So I'm just gonna unbolt that and swap it out. So these bolts are carriage bolts, so they don't have a head on the other side that you need a wrench for. It sort of just embeds in the frame and in the wood. So they're very easy to unscrew with just one wrench. Actually, these are a little too easy to unscrew. All right, so I'm just gonna take everything off, take the axle out, get rid of this one. I'm gonna put the axle in the new wheel, put the spacers on the new wheel, put the brackets on the new wheel. All right, now I'm gonna bolt it back up. All right, it fits right on because everything's the exact same size. So now I'm just gonna bolt it right back up. Bolt it right back up, I said. All right, let me just pump it up now. Because I mountain bike, I have lots of bike pumps, so I just use a bike pump for this sort of thing. This is a Park Tools bike pump, and it's kind of garbage. From the day it was brand new, the gauge doesn't work. So you kind of just have to guess. I'm gonna put a lot of air in it, make the tire pretty firm, because it's gonna be holding a lot of weight most of the time, just parked. All right, that's all you have to do to change a tire. Like I said, I got this one at Harbor Freight and it was only $16. There's actually a wide variety of different types of tires you can get for a wheelbarrow. A lot of people like the solid ones because they can never go flat. They're a lot more expensive, and because I barely use this wheelbarrow for anything, figured I'd just go with that. So this is my other wheelbarrow, the good one that I use to move dirt around. You can see it's the exact same thing. It just bolts on with these brackets. So you would unbolt those, this would lift right off, and then you just put a new tire on there or tube or whatever you're doing, and bolt it back together. Speaking of wheelbarrows, on this temporary workbench here, I've got a bunch of solid pieces of steel, round piece of steel, old mountain bike fork that is broken. Suspension-wise, the suspension doesn't work, but physically it's a solid piece. And that is the very beginnings of a wheelbarrow project where I'm going to build myself a totally custom kick-ass wheelbarrow that has a solid metal frame that doesn't flex when you're fully loaded. And best of all, it's going to have a brake, and that's going to make it really easy to start at the driveway and go down my yard to wherever I'm dumping dirt. But all this is happening later, so I'm just giving you a sneak peek. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do is take apart the old wheel so I can take the tube and tire off and throw it in the trash and put the steel rim in the recycling. All right, there we go. This is all trash, and this will all be recycling. So I showed you on the tire where it was dry rotted all the way around. Well, this is the tube out of the bad tire, and it too is dry rotted all the way around. And if I remove my thumb, so I could have put a new tube in that wheel, but I don't think the tire would have lasted very long. So it was better to just replace the whole thing. I should have tried to come up with a way to test the wheelbarrow by starting up the go-kart and dragging it around the neighborhood. It's not too late. No, I'm just kidding. It's too late. That would never work. All right, that's all for today. See you next time.